Here we're looking at the warm-up for the 1.3 number 2 set of notes. We are asked to graph this g of x function, 1 over x, very common function that we've seen in the past. And we know that this should have a horizontal asymptote at, we'll make this a little bit of a brighter color so we can see it, at 0. And it also has a vertical asymptote at x equals 0. So again, we talked a lot about these rational functions. Again, this is that parent function that we've seen a lot of that first week of school. Now, it should kind of have this general shape where it hugs the asymptotes. And it's going down like so. And likewise, it's going to hug our asymptotes on the right side as well. So we see an image looking something like this. Now, when we're discussing some of the limits that are involved, so we have the limit as x approaches 0 from the left of that g of x function. Well, let's talk about what's going on there. As you approach 0 from the left, we see that we are going downwards towards negative infinity. So this guy would come out to be negative infinity. And we know that anytime you have a limit is, whether it's infinity or negative infinity, that limit does not exist. So this should be a DNE. And what we call this too, you may see this in another notation, is as x approaches 0 from the left, the graph decreases without bound. So that's just another way that we could actually say that this value is going down to negative infinity. It's decreasing without bound. It's going to go on forever and ever. So if you read a textbook and it kind of has that kind of terminology, that's what they're intending. Now let's look at the limit as x approaches 0 from the right side of that function g of x. Well, if we look at our graph, we see that as you approach 0, or as x approaches 0, from the right side, we see that we are going upwards to positive infinity. So kind of the other direction. And likewise, this limit will not exist then. And then this, you would have a very similar, only it would be increasing without bound. All right, and then this would be 0 to the right. Now, since we have the limit as x approaches 0 from the left side is going down to negative infinity, it does not match as it's going to the right, because again, this is positive infinity. Then this limit as you approach 0 is just going to not exist altogether. We can't even stress if it's going to positive or negative infinity. All right. So again, that is the warm-up for our 1.3 number 2 set of notes.